Good afternoon. Welcome to the presidential debate. My name is Giacomo Amazon, and I will be your moderator for today. The rules for this debate are that each speaker will have up to 3 minutes to state their position, and then he or she will have 1 minute to rebut the opposing position. So I'd like to introduce first, on the right, Maria Silveira, who represents the Republican position, and on the left, we have Gustavo Pinto, who represents the Democratic point of view. The topic for today is ACA. So I will open the debate by asking the Republican candidate, Maria Silveira, the following question. The government spent more than $30 billion to pay for Obamacare just in 2016. In view of such high government spending, do you think that Congress should maintain or cancel the Affordable Care Act?
Thank you, Mr. Amazon. The Affordable Care Act must not be imposed for many reasons. First of all, it was never mentioned in the American Constitution that it is the government duty to take care of the health system. It should be up to each person to decide what is best for them. It is also important to highlight that according to the Fraser Institute, the wait time for neurosurgery in Canada is 47 weeks because it is a public health system, while in the US is 14 weeks, according to a study made by Moira Stewart, PhD, proving the lack of quality when it comes to public health compared to the private one. Finally, when it comes to economy, the ACA is just a decent dream. It was supposed to stabilize the healthcare spending, but it only made worse. According to CNBC, the estimated spending for 2017 was 25% more than in 2016, while it will increase by 35% in 2018. So I challenge you, Gustavo, would you rather have the freedom to choose what is best for you and have a high quality service, or be obligated to pay for some low quality service and may even die while waiting in line?
Thank you, Maria. Now for the Democratic position, Gustavo.
Thank you. First of all, answering your question, the amount spent on healthcare by the government is around $33 billion in the latest year. Well, a statistic from OECD, which is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The percentage of the GDP spent on healthcare by the government before and after the Obamacare is pretty much the same, around 17 and 18%. So it doesn't affect much of the budget. But now we have more quality and more accessible healthcare. If the ACA were repealed today, around 22 million Americans are estimated to lose their medical insurance, being most of them women and patients with pre-existing conditions that private insurers wouldn't care much about because they are more expensive for them. Also, nearly 1 million healthcare workers will lose their jobs. That's because after the implementation of Obamacare, there was a rise in the healthcare sector, in the jobs in the healthcare sector by 9%. This is a study by BBC. So, as we see, the ACA is not only about healthcare, but it is also providing jobs. And I don't think you should go bankrupt because you got sick. It's more accessible. Also, according to a research from Gallup News, from 2010 to 2014, the percentage of Americans aged 18 and older with health insurance declined from 16.5 to 12.9%. So we see that there are a lot of people that are getting more insurance, and this is good because if we go this way, we're gonna have a more healthy nation and more Americans will have insurance.
Thank you, Gustavo. Now, you have 1 minute to rebut the Republican position.
Thank you. So, about the unconstitutionality of the ACA, well, according to the Constitution, the Article 1, Section 8, is the job of the government to regulate interstate commerce. So, the interesting thing is that Obamacare reduced the uncompensated care costs, which amounted around $43 billion in 2008, as it also reduces health insurance premiums and repairs insurance market outlet for job-locked people, which would be people afraid of losing their health insurance if they leave their jobs. So the fact is that people will always use healthcare regardless of whether they are insured. And insurance is the only mechanism by which they will be able to afford it. Also, about the waiting lines, ACA contains a major boost for health centers, around $11 billion to something called Community Health Center. So this fund is for operation and expansion and construction of more health centers, so that will reduce the waiting lines.
Thank you, Gustavo. Now, Maria, you have 1 minute to rebut.
Thank you. First of all, the only thing you are considering is coverage. But what about quality? Isn't it important to have good quality to actually save lives? It was supposed to be the government priority above all. The cost can be negotiated with the hospital and you'll be safe and sound. Also, the only thing you didn't mention is that the jobs created by Obamacare are low quality, doesn't pay enough, making people work 2, even 3 jobs to survive, affecting the quality of life of the population. Finally, patients with pre-existing conditions are high risk for health insurance companies, and they need to balance between them and the healthy members. Otherwise, the companies are going to fail, making the unemployment rate increase. I mean, it's about business, not morality, and it is fundamental for the country.
Thank you, Maria. And now this concludes this round of presidential debates. Thank you all.